Here's the benefit of nature as teacher. Humans have a vantage point of a lifetime, 80 to 100 years if we're lucky, plus the accumulated knowledge that's been documented in our society over the centuries. But nature holds a vantage point of thousands of years, millions of years. Think about looking at the world from the perspective of a 3,000-year-old giant sequoia tree. Just imagine how broad your view of reality would be. Earlier this year, I spent 4 weeks completely unplugged with an indigenous family down in the Peruvian Amazon, the jungles of South America. There was no electricity, no mirrors, no distractions or contact with the outside world. And this experience helped me see reality not just from the perspective of my own lifetime, not even just from the perspective of my ancestors' lifetime, but from nature's lifetime. My time in the jungle taught me a lot about control. American culture is built around control. We control the temperature of our homes with air conditioning in the summer and heating in the winter. We control our time and our attention by distracting ourselves with cell phones and filling empty space with television. And we control our truest forms of expression by prioritizing politeness and appearance over authenticity. Think for a moment of how a toddler plays. They don't care if they get sweaty and dirty. They never get bored, and they definitely don't hold back any emotions that might be coming up within them at that particular moment. They're just in pure expression. It flows through them. They're in the present. As we get older, over time, society trains us into who we should be. The scope of who we're allowed to be, who we allow ourselves to be, narrows. And the problem is that when we control ourselves in that kind of way, we block the natural flow of nature. The jungle taught me that just as birds inherently know how to be birds and trees inherently know how to be trees, there's also a part of us that inherently knows how to just be us. When we control or restrict that, trying to be who we've been trained to be instead, we block the flow of nature. Over time, this translates into anxiety, depression, other forms of chronic illness, all of which are statistically higher in the United States than most other countries in the world. The jungle does not care about other people's comfort zones. The jungle just is what it is. Like the toddler, it's expressive, unrestricted, free. I wonder how much happier our culture might be if we all got to be a little bit freer in our own expressions too. The jungle also taught me about seeing through the eyes of love. Like many of us do in this culture, I grew up with really strong lessons around good and bad. I learned about bad guys from movies like Home Alone and TV shows like Cops. The characters in those movies were unsympathetic, unrelatable, one-dimensional. As I got older, my view of bad guys began to include people that I fundamentally disagreed with. People on the other side of the political spectrum. People living lifestyles that differed from how I thought we should live. Now, I've worked through a lot of my biases and prejudices over the years, but there are still times when I find myself feeling annoyed rather than patient, dismissive rather than curious, judgmental rather than compassionate. One of the most beautiful things about nature and plant medicine is how deeply it can open the heart. Within the safety of the jungle and the space created by the abuelas, the elder medicine women that I was staying with, I was able to connect with a deep, universal sense of love and compassion for myself, for everyone who's ever hurt me, for humanity at large, for life itself. Looking at the state of the world around us right now, I often wonder what we could accomplish with a little more love and a lot less hate. I often wonder what it would look like for us to open our hearts to one another, rather than building walls and hurling insults across political aisles. As we as a culture and a society continue to grapple with our pathway forward, how we might come together rather than drifting further apart, how we can find our way to healing and creation rather than war and destruction, it seems to me that nature has some important perspectives to share. Maybe, just maybe, we could all learn a little more through adopting nature as our teacher. If this message speaks to you, if you're feeling that calling to learn from nature on a deeper level, I'd love to invite you to an online experience I'm creating over the coming weeks. It's called The Jungle, and it's a deep dive immersion into some of the experiences that I had while I was there. I'm bringing in practices and teachings that I've been using as a social worker and in the classroom for many years now on social change, dismantling systemic oppression, and decolonization, understanding the way that culture influences us and what we can do to reclaim our sense of humanity and sense of sovereignty. And I'm merging that with embodiment practices, somatic awareness, nature-based wisdom, lessons that we can learn from plant medicine. I'm mixing up all of these together and creating a journey that matches the one that I've been on over these last 5-10 years, unlearning who I'm not and relearning what it means to be connected to my most natural nature, what it means to find the wholeness of myself and reconnect to the root of what's real, reconnect to earth, reconnect to humanity, reconnect to that sense of deep love and compassion as we advocate and as we live into reality a better world around us. I would love to see you there. Send me a message or comment on this video if you're interested. And regardless, may we all begin to listen to the nature within. May we all begin to hear the wisdom of Earth as she is guiding us back into a state of reconnection and balance and interdependence.